Yo, what's up, boys? Today, I got a story time for you all about a time that I was followed during a snowstorm with a little bit of footage. This is the first video of 2023, so Happy New Year. I figured you all would really like this one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the story time, boys. Alright, so 2 days before Christmas, there was a massive snowstorm in my area. In fact, it was one of the biggest storms in years. It was originally supposed to be the last day of school before Christmas break, but due to the storm being so big, school ended up getting canceled. We usually get school canceled a few days a year due to snowstorms or icy roads, and usually when that happens, it's called a snow day. Now, most snow days, I usually try to hang out with my friends as I absolutely love being out in the snow, and it's even more fun when I'm with other people. On top of that, I'm just a social person, I enjoy hanging out with other people, especially my friends. On this particular day, one of my friends, who I'll call Ethan for the story, reached out to me asking to hang out. I replied sure, so I got my boots, coat, all my snow stuff on, and then I ended up meeting him outside. Ethan and I wanted to play King of the Hill, which, for those of you who don't know, is basically just shoving each other off of a snow mountain. Very fun game. However, since we wanted a third person to play, we went over to the house of another one of my friends, who I'll call Dan for the story, to ask him to hang out. He says sure, so after he gets his stuff on, we find a snow hill and, just play the game. I get absolutely destroyed, and we quickly end up getting pretty bored of the game. Anyways, Dan suggests Ethan and I, though, we should walk to Circle K, which is a convenience store on Main Street. Ethan and I agree, so the three of us start walking there, and during the walk, we were talking about how funny it would be if we went into the store acting like complete NPCs, doing things like an NPC wave or an NPC walk. I jokingly made a suggestion about me doing the Bully McGuire dance from Spider-Man 3, saying that it would be absolutely hilarious. But my friends really liked the idea, though. They were all like, do it, do it. They thought it would be hilarious. So me and my friends decided that when we got to the store, they would record a little video of me walking into the store and doing the Spider-Man dance. Now, yeah, I don't really know why we thought that would be so funny. It is pretty cringe, but I guess we're just dumb teenagers, Anyway, so we get to the store, and my friends both walk in, and Ethan actually does an NPC walk into the store, which I thought was pretty hilarious. And then after he finished his walk, Dan took his phone out ready to film me doing the Spider-Man dance. He gives me the signal, and then I walk in and I do the Spider-Man dance. Now, initially, the footage here seems to just be me doing the Spider-Man dance as we planned. However, behind me in the footage is a car pulling up to the store, as you can see right here. Now, this didn't immediately raise any red flags for us. We just assumed it was going to be someone coming in to buy something, right? Like, why would we assume that anything's off about a car just parking in the parking lot? So I joined my friends and I asked to see the video, right? They show it to me and I cringe at it, but whatever. As we're talking, the guy steps out of his car and walks into the store. We don't really pay attention to him at first, but we can tell that this guy's wearing all black, and I think he looked to be a few years older than us, but I don't really remember exactly. As me and my friends are talking in the store, we can tell that he's on the same side of the store as us, but again, we don't really think much of it, as he could have just been there to buy something. However, we do notice that he is kind of staring at us a little bit, which, I mean, yeah, that is pretty creepy, not gonna lie, but we didn't think too much of it other than noting that it was kind of creepy. Me and my friends realized that there's nothing we're interested in buying here, so we decided to head to another store on Main Street. To get to the other stores, you had to turn left when you went through the door, and then left again at the corner of the building, so that's what we did. But after we turned to the second left, we casually looked behind us and saw that the guy in all black who was in Circle K was now walking behind us. The weirdest part was the fact that his car was literally right in front of the door. You guys saw it in the footage, so the fact that he turned not one, but two lefts after us when its car was, again, right in front of the door is a huge red flag. Now, my first thoughts were, okay, this guy's definitely following us, because why else would he leave immediately after us, walk past his car, and then turn two lefts after us? Seemed pretty sketchy to me. Now, we could have just been walking to the other stores, sure, but the sketchiest part was that as soon as this guy realized that we saw him, he just walked away, probably back to his car, but just like that, he was gone. And I feel like the moment someone walking behind you walks away when you see them, it's safe to assume they're following you. Like, yeah, he could have been going to the other stores too, but if that was the case, he wouldn't have walked away just because we saw him. Him walking away basically confirmed he was following us, and also he was staring at us in the store, which is farther evidence that he was following us because, staring at us was kind of creepy. After the dude walked away, Dan and Ethan both told me that they saw him leave the store right after us, which I must have not picked up on. I guess they assumed he was just walking to his car or something at first, until we looked behind us and then saw he was following us. Anyways, me, Dan, and Ethan went to the other stores, and we found some other silly videos over there. Unfortunately, I can't show those videos due to other people being visible in them. Nothing important really happened at the stores, and after we left them, we began walking down Main Street back the way we came from to head home. During our walk, we were talking about how creepy it was that the dude earlier was following us, and I'd be lying if I said we weren't checking behind us every few seconds to make sure we weren't being followed. The three of us were definitely a little bit paranoid. Anyways, we got back to the point where we were gonna have to split up to head home. Me and Dan live in the same neighborhood, but Ethan lives in a different neighborhood, which is a bit farther away from ours. So me and Dan said bye to Ethan, and while Ethan continued down Main Street, Dan and I left Main Street to go into our neighborhood. Now, the quickest way to get back to both of our houses was through a little patch of woods, which we went into. Now, it wasn't a huge patch of woods or anything. It probably took like 2-3 minutes at most to walk through. It was starting to get dark at this point, and considering what happened not even an hour ago, Dan and I were feeling kind of paranoid that we were being watched, but we still didn't like run or anything as we realized, hey, we're probably just being paranoid. There's no way anything else is gonna happen. After we got out of the forest, we began walking down the street which Dan's house is on. For context, his house was a bit farther down this street, but on the right a bit before his house, there's a trail that leads to my street, which is how I was gonna get home. When Dan and I get to the part of the street where the trail is, I said bye to him, and he walks down farther down the street to get to his house. But as I look into the trail, I see that there's someone wearing all black on the trail, walking in my direction. Since the sidewalk I was on the left side of the road and the trail was on the right, I couldn't get a clear view of who it was, but I could tell that the person was wearing all black, which was the same thing the guy following us earlier was wearing. Now, I didn't really have a reason to believe this was the same person. Like, that would honestly be insane, right? Like, there's no way this dude followed us and found out where I lived before I got home. Like, that's pretty much impossible, right? So I noticed he looked similar, and I called to Dan, who's not that far away, saying, "Bro, come back for a second." Dan turns around and begins walking back my way, asking, "Yo, what's up?" I jokingly yelled to him, "Dude, is that the guy from Circle K?" Still not thinking it was the same person. But I'm not even kidding. The moment I say the word Circle K, this dude turns around and speed walks back the other way. Now, I'm not saying this 100% was the same person or anything, but that is certainly really sketchy. The fact that he turned around as soon as it said Circle K, like, that is seriously really sketchy. However, it could have just been a person being weirded out by, is that the guy from Circle K? Like, if that was me, like, honestly, I'd be a little weirded out as well. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, Dan and I think the fact that the dude turned around was super sketchy, and I considered walking around the long route to avoid going through the trail and potentially seeing that person. But I realized that I'm already late coming home, my parents are already going to be mad, I don't want to make them even madder by showing up another 10 minutes later, so I decided to just go through the trail and risk it. So I say bye to Dan for real this time, and I cautiously go through the trail. Once I make it through, I don't see the person, so I quickly sprint back home, which isn't too far, and without anything else happening, I unlock the door and get in the house. Now that it's been a couple weeks since this whole thing happened, I can think a lot clearer about it now. I still do think the first encounter at the Circle K, yeah, that was definitely someone following us. No question about that. He followed us 2 lefts and walked away as soon as we noticed him. Yeah, super sketchy. Not to mention his car was at the door of the Circle K as well, and he was staring at us in the store. However, the second encounter, the one at the trail, I do believe that was just a regular person who maybe felt a little weirded out by us saying, "Hey, that's the guy from Circle K." It is super unlikely that the person got my address, and plus, it's been 2 weeks since this whole thing, and no follow-up to it has happened. Anyways, if you want to listen to another story just like this, on screen right now is the story of a spoiled brat who thought that Huggy Wuggy was actually real.